What's up, duelist? Daniel-san from Team Low Expectations here, bringing you guys a first place Genesys qualifier deck profile. I entered the 16-player flight with my Dracotail deck, and I'm here to show you guys just first and foremost this beautiful playmat that we got first place for. It's very amazing. We also got the Starlight of Choice. Yes, if you do place first in the 16-man qualifiers, you do get a Starlight of Choice. I went with a Marshmallow because it looks really nice. So we're just gonna leave that right there. And let's get into the profile. First things first, I'll just talk about my matchups as I sort this. Round one, we actually got paired up with the Dynamorphia strategy round one. That was a very interesting matchup. I was able to go first and establish my traps as well as Gulamel. When he proceeded to set 5, I went to 5-mana effect to destroy a back row with Gulamel. On my turn, I activated Rahu and destroyed yet another back row. The Rahu sent a Urgula, which then got rid of a fourth such card. So it was very, very powerful seeing my Dracotails work like that in that type of environment. I'll even go over like the choices of points as I go through the list. Dracotail looks very cut and like cookie cutter. You know, you want to just play a bunch of the important ones. Just making sure that this is picking up everything. Okay, move that a little bit down there. Obviously, you're gonna play 3 Lucius as well. 3 King of the Swamps. Now, I will say Cartesia is worth points, so that's why we opted for a bigger King of the Swamp package, going with the 3 polymerizations as well. And something to note is that we did decide to play a copy of the Frixel. Shout out my friend Chris. I would not have gotten first place if he did not let me borrow this card. So shout out to you, Chris. I really do appreciate it. And it doesn't even matter if the card is expensive or not. It's the fact that I couldn't do it alone. So for my tournament, round 1, I played against Dynamorphia, and some of this non-engine really wasn't that strong into a matchup like that. Like, you know, Nibs and Skullmeisters, things of that sort. I have a 3rd Skullmeister, I just have to get it off the side deck. After round 1, I played against the Man with the Mark. That was a really interesting matchup. I actually played against a friend. Some of you know him as Judge Mike. He goes to one of the locals that I attend to, and yeah, we had our match. Unfortunately, you know, in the Genesys event, same flight, same pod. You know, it was a really good back and forth match. Actually, one of my techs for the weekend came up in that matchup, Golden Lord. Just one Golden Lord, and it got me a Marshmallow. I used this to send one of the traps I drew going second, where I feel like these cards aren't that strong is when they're going second, or when you draw them going second and they're just in your hand. I used this to target his Apophis, and it got the job done, because now his Apophis board doesn't contain 2 continuous traps. It only had the 1, so that was really strong. Round 3, I played against Madolce, and again, shout out to my friend Chris. I was originally gonna go in with 3 Draw and Lockbird, but he told me that Nib was just better, that a lot of people are gonna play through Droll or they're gonna spam heavy combo, and that was the case. When I played against Madolce, he got to 5 summons, no XYZs, I nibbed him. It went back to him, I didn't draw anything hot. His only play was to attack with the Nib token, and then I drew Mululu. So now Mululu, send the Pan and Urgula, get our Thalion, Pan, pop the token, and Lethal was presented right there. Because now I could set Ketsu and Rahu, Ketsu could search, Rahu can send to fusion summon. So Nib was like really crazy there. I'm actually surprised that this card is 5 points. I don't know if Konami is watching and they're gonna make it more points. If I had to choose between Nib and Droll, based on today's results, I'd go with Nib every time. So round, and I'm gonna do the deck profile normally. I just wanted to give some insight, some feedback, and some clarity as to what event I was participating in today. So let's take it from the top. One Golden Lord, one Gamma Seal, one Dogoran. You're not gonna know what you're gonna run up against. I've seen people play Shaddoll monsters in place of cards like this, but this came up a lot more than these two did. I just like because they're fire and water, you know, Fire Kings, Atlanteans. But this really got the job done. He could become 3,500. He can't die by card effect, so he got over the Man with the Mark Scorpion because it destroys whatever it battles with card effect, and he cannot be destroyed by card effect. So that was like really strong. 3 Skullmeister, because people may be wondering like, oh, what non-engine do you run, or what costs 0 points? And this is like a really good forerunner, as well as these as well. These are really good because when I played against Dynamorphia, his Rextrum had like a floating ability that got put in check with Skullmeister. It feels like a low-key dollar store Ash Blossom in certain matchups, like Dracotail. If they're gonna go like Pan and use Skullmeister, it feels like you just stopped a whole Rahu and Ketsu, plus the ability to destroy something. And Crow was really good as well. I actually played Crow in my modern Yu-Gi-Oh list, so adjusting it over to Genesys wasn't that hard of a transition. It's really good against things like Mitsurugi and Modern, and then in Genesys format, it was super strong against hurting people's resource management. If they really needed a monster back in rotation, Crow would get it out of there. Like round 4, I played against Red Dragon Archfiend. These 6 can all hit the Red Rising Dragon Engrave when it would go to summon 2 Resonators from the deck. So that's where this like really overperformed. And then of course the 3 Nibiru, because like I said earlier, if I had a choice to put 5 points each into Drolls or Nibs, I would just go with Nib every time. I felt like this card just carried. It was ridiculous. People play things like Madolche, Red Dragon Archfiend, Punk, you know, even, you know, homebrew ideas, and Nib just is there, is just always there. It's the best Dracotail card for a reason. And if these look off, it's because these are from the Chronicle structure deck. We have 3 King of the Swamp, probably MVP. It could become a polymerization, or when it's in the hand, it can become material for things like this and this. I didn't summon these. I wouldn't even say that these are mandatory, but I'll explain them in the context of Genesys format and the value that they could potentially provide. And then for the Dracotails, Lucas, because right now the only thing that costs points is Nib, so we're at 15 points. Lucas, 3 Mululu puts us at 30 points because they're 5 each. 3 Pan, 3 Urgula. This looks a little strange. In a format like Genesys though, if you don't play a lot of non-engine, you really need to rely on engine to get the job done. So I felt like with enough copies of Mululu next to the big dragons, or King of the Swamp next to the big dragons, or even like Polymerization next to the big dragons, my going second was always phenomenal, and I was always able to play the game going first. So a higher Dracotail count for Genesys could be acceptable. I know in Modern, 1-1 is perfectly fine. I didn't want to brick, and I really liked how explosive my hands were the more names I opened. And of course the 2 Phimena, she is 20 points a pop. Frixel is nothing, like 0 points, not nothing. This card is so important. It's a shame that it costs so much, like 20 points, but it's really important for the deck. So important that I won with only 1 Ketu, because for the Dracotail enthusiasts, it's like, well, we could just set this from the deck. And that's true. We all know opening this is much better than getting access to it. Well, I guess it depends on context, but for me, I like just opening Ketu. And having it at 1, I noticed the lack of spells in my hand. So it's something that, you know, this is not a set in stone list. It's a good start if you want to play a modern deck in Genesys format. But 1 Ketu is, it was very interesting it was very, very interesting because I was trying to put points into like nibs. So you do like 5, 10, that can be a second Ketsu, but that's where I felt like I could put one Ketsu into more non-engine just to see what happens, and it really paid off. Maybe it was because it was this one specifically, but Ketsu was nice at 1. And 3 Rahu. I mean, it's 0 points, so it was really strong. And 3 poly to keep the world going. And 1 of each trap, which probably makes this my favorite deck for Genesys, because going first, it feels like you just get a board that not only disrupts the opponent, but nets you advantage over time. So Radiant Typhoon is a great example of a deck that does something similar to this. They have vision where they can keep cycling through resources. We have these, and that's where I feel like I was able to kind of outpace my opponent with getting rid of resources while recovering mine. And a rule of thumb is these can put back the traps, but in the context of Genesys, I was making sure I recycle my Ketsus, so I can always have a Ketsu ready to go. I would use a trap, put back Ketsu, Fimena effect to get a Pana Urgula effect, and then set the Ketsu for my deck. So then when it comes back to me, I have the 1 Ketsu, but now it feels like I just have 2 Ketsu. And that was like really, really strong, especially when cards like these cost points, but you can not only put them back, you can get access to them again. Against my Man with the Mark matchup, I remember his Apophis Fusion went after my Set Rahu, and I was assuming it was because he had an interaction for my Ketsu, but then Ketsu was able to search to fuse, and that turned into a Set Rahu. So had he popped the Ketsu, because it was only at 1, and I resolve Rahu, I can't really resolve Ketsu, it's already in the grave. So that's where like deck building is kind of important, but it's also like, you can't really be too worried about what your opponent has going on. If they felt like popping Rahu was correct, so be it. For me, obviously, knowing I only played 1, it was a real lifesaver. So yeah, so just like I said, 3 traps, 3 Rahu, 3 poly, 1 Ketsu for the not monsters, 2 Fimena, Frixel, 3 Kingless Swamp, 3 Urgula, 3 Pan, 3 Lucas, 3 Mululu, 3 Nib, 3 Crow, 3 Meister, 1 Dogaran, 1 Gamma-Seal, 1 Golden Lord, and if anything, Golden Lord came up more than these 2 did. This was able to get rid of Apophis traps, as well as round 4, I was playing against a full Red Dragon board. Well, not full, but a very well-established board. And he had a trap card that will protect his dragon with the highest level, but it banishes the rest of his field in the process. So when I went after it with this card, he activates the trap and he banishes like his Red Rising on field and his hot Red Dragon Archfiend just to keep his Dissipator. So, that was like a really strong card, man. I really like Golden Lord today. And then real quick for the extra deck, 1 Arthalion. You can put him back with Horn, Secretarion, or any of the traps. He's really strong. He still does what he does in Modern. It's just you make 1 on your turn. When it goes to the opponent's turn, you will find yourself making Gulamels a whole lot more often because Arthalion will get stuck on the field, which is not bad. That's where I was trying to come up with other solutions to disrupting the board. So like Philia Regis, the usual suspects. And then because it's Genesys format, you kind of need like a little bit of a higher like ceiling, so to speak. So I needed cards like these. Tyrant is Tyrant. You can make it with King of the Swamp and a Dragon. Put your traps back. If your traps are cycling your Ketsus and Arthalions, he's really strong for putting your traps back on the field. This, however, I really wanted to summon this. There was just never an appropriate game state, so that's where it's very win more, but it feels good. It's like Fenrir where it works on resolution of the card or effect, but if a spell or trap or effect is activated, you draw 1. If it's a quick play spell or a trap, you set it and it can be activated this turn. You're most likely drawing monsters with this, so it feels like a 4th trap where you activate your Flame or Horn, draw 1, this effect, draw a 2nd card. If you happen to Horn, put back your own monster, like you're just getting so much value. The last cards I played, this is supposed to be a Lunalight Perfume Dancer that I had to return. I did not play against Lunalight, so Definitely gonna need a copy of that before the big day on Sunday. Because if you win this event, you get invited to play top 32 for the Genesys event. Then I played some Ultimate Slayer targets because, you know, you're getting rid of Lynx and 2 more copies of Arthalion, so you just needed to make it 15. So I just played 5 Ultimate Slayer targets, Valen Aggregator for the Anamana Pyro decks, Malong for the Red Dragon Archfiend decks, Garura for the Mirror Match. Even if I'm giving them back a Gulamel, I still want to draw a card. Or even against Dynamorphia. And then Perfume Dancer because it's Perfume Dancer. Last but not least, the side deck. Shout out Darren. It's like another homie. You know, oh, I forgot Chaos. Sorry about that, Darren. You got overshadowed by Chaos. But yeah, Darren, lost him a couple years ago. Really hope he's he's watching over us, man, as we cook up this tournament, man. Couldn't have done it without my friends. 3 Ultimate Slayer, 3 Radiant, 3 Cosmic, 3 Herald of the Abyss, 3 Dark Ruler. So it's very obvious I'm not prepared for any deck that can summon VFD or things of that nature. But I was trying to prepare for as much as possible. Towers, light cards, wide boards, mid-range boards, trap decks, and then just overall coverage because I already played 2 more kaijus in the main. So if I lost a die roll, I felt relieved that I had answers like Golden Lord, kaijus in my main deck. Post side, if I'm going first, then I'll take out the Golden Lord and kaijus for like Cosmics. If I'm going second, depending on the matchup, I could remove something like Nibiru or something like the Skullmeisters for more kaijus or more board breakers, like against Red Dragon Archfiend. Crow's good, Nib's good, Meister is hit or miss, so that's where I'll take out Meister and put in like Ultimate Slayer. It was $25 to enter, and I got a very, very beautiful looking Starlight Rare. Shout out to all my homies playing in the main event right now: Henry, Marcos, Judge Mark, Reese, Savage Pete, who else? Shannon, Brandon, Jamil, who else? Rome was also playing in Genesys, so that was tough to see like more people from my local scene actively involved in this format. Who else? Shout out to Chris, shout out to John, shout out to my family, shout out to CJ, Barack, and yeah, shout out to everybody watching this. Tune in. We out here. All right, y'all. Peace.